According to Michael Grigorish, an assistant director of student engagement at Collin College, written in his article on the Collin College website entitled Smart Money on August 13, 2014, that 84% of college students own a credit card. Before you know it, you will be going off into college or workforce and likely getting either a debit or a credit card yourself. Your new card will likely have the new security measure of the chip rather than the old magnetic strip cards we grew up watching our parents use. The smart chip has been taking the place of the magnetic strip in payment cards all across the United States. Today, I will first discuss the history of both the strip and the chip. Second, I will talk about why the strip is potentially dangerous and why the chip has been taking its place. Third, I will cover the various positives and negatives that have resulted since this transition. Let's first discuss how both the strip and the chip came to be. The magnetic strip was first developed for credit cards right here in Rochester, Minnesota. According to International Business Machines, better known as IBM, a leader in computer and technology, wrote in their article entitled Magnetic Stripe Technology that in the 1960s, IBM inventor Forrest Corey Perry first used magnetic strips on credit cards to replace the old method of doing all credit card transactions by hand. He did this by grinding different types of metal into a fine powder. His only problem, he could not figure out how to get this magnetic strip to stick to the card. His wife suggested that he use a clothing iron to essentially melt the strip on, and that is exactly what he did. And from there, IBM turned magnetic strip technology into a major industry. A little known fact is that the smart chip has actually been around just as long as the magnetic strip has. Patricia Figliola, a specialist in Internet and Telecommunications Policy for the Congressional Research Service, stated in her article entitled EMV Credit Card Transition, the background status and issue for Congress, written on May 17, 2016, that German electrical engineers Helmut Gratrop and Jürgen Detloff filed the very first patent for the smart chip in 1968 and 1969, around the exact same time that Forrest Corey Perry started using the magnetic strips. Jerome Stiggles, a project manager for IBM, wrote in his article entitled The Long Life and Imminent Death of the Mag Stripe Card on May 12, 2012, that just as smart chip technology first became available in the United States in the mid-'80s, the major credit card issuers, such as Visa, had just invested millions into the strip technology. Not willing to lose their investment, they tried to delay the chip from trickling into the United States for as long as possible, making us the very last developed country to make this switch. Now that we know how both the strip and the chip came to be, my second point will cover why the strip may not be the most dependable option. The strip has many potential dangers. Stiggles, who I previously cited, wrote that thieves that get a hold of your magnetic strip card can use a card skimmer to essentially duplicate your information and money onto a separate card. Keep in mind that anyone can buy these card skimmers online for only $50. And the only solution to combat this since the 70s has been when you make a purchase, fraud checking software checks to see if the purchase fits in with your normal patterns and flags it if it doesn't. Although helpful, this does not always catch fraud. The chip appears to be a more stable, dependable option so far. Figliola, who I also previously cited, wrote that the chip is very difficult to duplicate or forge. It is able to detect hacking attempts and can even counter possible attacks on its own. It is equipped with both soft and hardware, so even if the card data is compromised, the chip itself is very difficult to get into. It is essentially a mini computer. Now that we know why the world has moved away from the strip and towards the chip, let's look at how the chip has fared so far since its transition. My third point will cover the positives and negatives that have resulted since switching to the chip. Douglas King, a payment risk expert at the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, stated in his paper entitled Chip and PIN, Success and Challenges in Reducing Fraud on January of 2012, stated that the United Kingdom has experienced an overall 34% drop in fraud since the implementation of the chip. His data also showed that the chip is most effective in eliminating card-present fraud, the type in which thieves use the card skimmers to steal from the magnetic strip cards. However, this could also be seen as a disadvantage. because consumers who have the chip card and hear statistics such as this one are led to believe that their information and money is always safer with the chip card. However, this is a major misconception and has led to a huge increase in another type of fraud, online transactions, in which the chip has no further protection against than the magnetic strip. Today, I have discussed the differing backgrounds, dangers, and results of the transition from the magnetic strip to the smart chip. The smart chip has been taking the place of the magnetic strip in payment cards all across the United States. So as you become an adult and start paying your own bills, remember that the smart chip has proven to be safer so far. But remember, that is what people once thought about the magnetic strips. Despite the fact that the magnetic strip lasted you for 30 years, who knows how long the chip will prevail? Before you know it, the chip may be gone, and we'll be transitioning into the next chapter of payment.